All right, thank you. 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. I've been doing this a long time, Robin, and I remember radio when it looked like radio, how do I say this, turntables and tape machines and everything, and then I learned the word analog, because in order to have digital, they had to have whatever the other stuff was called. Do you remember? I don't remember calling record players analog, right?
No, not me. It's just a record player.
So for me, the world started changing as far as technology goes at that point, right? And there were a few different names of companies that we had to get stuff from. One that I remember was Turtle Beach. I don't even know if that one's around anymore, right?
Oh.
So it is interesting how, and then there was this thing called Apple, which of course is everywhere now, right? So it was interesting to see the beginnings of all this, and I guess in a way you could say we're privileged to have seen the beginnings of it, and of course it makes you feel old now that it's some of the stuff that is out there, like, you know, and this is like, I guess, a cliche to a certain extent, that the kids always know how to program these things better than us older folks, right? It does seem to be true, yeah. James E. McCann is on the phone. He's got a book called Startups and the Tech Revolution, The Essential Guide. So even though you might be younger, maybe you need to know some of the things that this book will give you. James is an investor, a board member, and an advisor to early-stage companies. He spent 20 years as a CEO. He oversees operations of some of the world's largest retail businesses. And I'll tell you right off the bat, just from this business of radio, it changed everything. And I don't know if I was resistant to it or not. If I was, shame on me, because it really is better. I really think everything is better now. James McCann, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hi, Larry. How are you guys?
I'm good. Where are you calling from?
Actually sitting in the French Alps at the moment. Just spent the day skiing because we're quite a few hours ahead of you guys.
Oh, my gosh. Did you say that just to make us jealous? Robin, he's in the French Alps. Oh, she can't hear me. She walked away. Robin, he's in the French Alps.
Oh, how cool is that? I would love to go there.
See, we're in Florida. We want to make you jealous. We don't want you to make us jealous.
Well, you guys have got good weather as well.
So tell me about the book, and how do we use the book?
So listen, Larry, I think the reason I wrote the book is because I think there are enormous changes that are starting to happen. And as you pointed out in the introduction, actually the guys in the radio world, in the TV world, and the newspaper worlds, you guys felt this first because the internet hit you practically before it hit anybody else. But we're actually going into a new phase of this now, and it's going to start impacting a much broader group of people. And so the reason for the book is to try and help people to understand what's coming and to help them to think about how they're going to, manage their lives so that they can come out of this as winners and come out of it, more positive than they are today. Because as you said in the intro, things are better today in the radio world than they were 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's that opportunity for everybody now. I really do. I think in 30 years' time, mankind could be having a much better time of it than we are today. But only if we get ahead of this and if we start to help people to understand how they're going to have to behave and learn differently if they want to succeed in the new world.
What do you think drives it? It's probably an odd question, but so like if I was going to guess what drives it, I would say people just want everything as soon as possible. And it seems like that's what drives the changes is the speed.
Well, if you think about what's happening now, you can think about it in a historical context. For the first 190,000 years that mankind has been around, we essentially were hunter-gatherers. And then we had, about 10,000 years ago, we shifted to become an agricultural society. And it was only 200 years ago that we shifted from agriculture into industrial. And what's been happening for the last 20 years, 30 years, is we've been switching from an industrial economy into a technological economy. And that is now accelerating. And the thing that's different is it's happening much, much more quickly. And that's the thing that people have got to realize. And so in particular, this book is written for, the parents of teenage kids who are going off to college to help, so they can read the book first themselves, and then they can give the book to their kids and say, hey, think about this as you set off on your life's journey. Because the chances are that our kids and grandkids' journeys are going to be very, very different from the ones that we imagined, when we were setting off at the age of 20.
Oh, wow. And is it the companies that are basically controlling where we go with this, or are the consumers?
I don't think you can separate the two. Consumers' demand for speed and convenience and saving money is what's driving it, and companies react to that and use the technologies as they evolve to satisfy those demands more and more. But what that means is that the world changes. So, 70% of our economy in the States is a consumer economy, but then again, everybody works for somebody. And it's those changes that are driving in the world of business that are impacting people in the world of work.
Yes.
Because those two things are exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah. And just the ability to accept payment without currency is an amazing thing, especially if you've got a small business.
Absolutely. And the payment mechanisms are getting so much more convenient, and there's a whole bunch of people that think that currency itself is going to disappear. I'm not quite sure that will happen, but, there are evangelists out there who believe that the blockchain is going to remove currencies altogether.
It does seem like it. Do you know, can I just share one with you real quickly, going to this business here, radio? So real quick, the way we used to do it, if a client came in here to record an advertisement, it would then be copied onto reel-to-reel tapes, and let's say there were 14 other radio stations in town. So we'd have to make 14 reel-to-reel tapes, and then somebody would have to get in a car and bring each one of those tapes to each one of those stations. It easily was an all-day endeavor. It was a full day out there driving through the traffic, bringing them. When this thing called the internet started in radio, it took us 45 minutes to upload, and you would see that line going across. It was in the production room. And 45 minutes to upload. And it was like, oh my gosh, we can get the whole thing done in 45 minutes. It used to take a whole day. And now, I mean, it's like not even a second. You push a button and everybody has it. It's amazing to me.
That's right. And so imagine the person whose job it was to either, upload those reels or to deliver those reels to the 14 stations.
Right.
That work's disappeared. But what's happened is a whole bunch of other jobs have come along, many of which we couldn't even have imagined 30 years ago. And those jobs are in the main more interesting and hopefully higher paid.
Yes.
But what's happening now is that the changes that happen to the world of radio that you know so well, those things are starting to happen across the whole of the economy. There is not one single area of business today that is not being, in inverted commas, impacted by the technological revolution. In fact, a survey just came out 2 days ago of 1,400 CEOs around the world. The thing that they believe is going to change their business most in the coming decade is artificial intelligence. They think it's going to change their business more than the internet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I heard that Amazon workers, human beings, have to wear vests now so that the robots don't bump into them. There's so many robots. Did you hear that?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a different world, isn't it? One of the things I said in the intro I wanted to ask you about, I said that if I was resistant to the change, and I might have been, then shame on me. I'm wondering if, in your opinion, those who are resistant and don't give into it, as I eventually did, are they the seers of the world that end up falling behind, or the companies that you hear about that are going away? Is that why they're going away? Because they're not embracing the technology?
They just get left behind. And I think, nobody really likes change, if we're honest. But if we know about it, and if we understand it, and if we can start to see what the opportunities are in all these changes, then it becomes more exciting than scary. The danger is if people are just scared, then they kind of put their head in the sand and they say, I'm not going to do anything, it'll pass. This is not going to pass. And hopefully, the reason for writing this book, nobody writes these books to make money. The reason for writing this book is because it will help people to understand what's going on and then start to figure out how they're going to make the most of it. Because if you really try now, I'm absolutely certain that every one of your listeners can be better off with a better, more rewarding, more interesting career in 20 years than they have today. Mm-hmm. But they're going to have to change. It will not be the same career. That's almost certain. The book is called Startups and the Tech Revolution. Speaking of technology, you can get this as a Kindle, and right away you can have it. And it says 99 cents. That's amazing. You've got 42 customer reviews. You got 5 stars across the board. Let's see. On Amazon, you're currently listed at number 19. That's pretty outstanding. So good luck
congratulations to you on that. For everybody, I found it on Amazon. It's called Startups and the Tech Revolution, and James McCann is our guest and the author of that book. James, do you have a website you want to recommend?
I mean, if I was you, if you want to buy the book, I'd go straight on to Amazon. It's the easiest place to buy it. Like I said, we're pricing it at 99 cents because I just want everyone to read it. You know, just get on there, buy this book, learn what's going on, and become excited about the changes. Because there's so many people now that are reading scare stories in the newspapers and on TV. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can be a really good and exciting change.
Exactly.
But you need to know what's going on.
And you know, throughout history, everybody has always written those kind of columns that said there's this thing called the automobile, it's going to ruin the world. And there's this thing called the television that's going to ruin the world. So now we have artificial intelligence. Things will work out. Thank you for taking the time to do this, James. I envy you. I want to go to the Alps, Robin.
Nice.
Thank you, James.
Well, you guys are better off than everyone in the north of the country. Think about it that way.
Yeah, I know, but we miss the snow. Thank you, James. We'll be right back.
Thanks.